out there. Hello and welcome back, or thanks for checking it out, tuning in. Potato Land. I'm going to call it this week the cutest little podcast out there. So, I mean, that's up for you to determine, but trying to infuse this thing with a little bit of confidence. I had a great last week and never really brought it up during last episode, but I would say that last week was me at my best in terms of just having a good week. That many details which I didn't discuss, which I don't need to discuss, but listening back on last week's episode, you wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, there needs to be an extra boost of energy in this show, vlog thing, so that you guys don't have to understand completely that nobody else is in the room. I want this to sound like, yeah, everybody tunes in every week. Here we are. Just infused with vigor. I need more vigor in this thing. So, gosh, I mean, maybe it's my second guessing myself and it's natural and everybody does it, but it did sound a little bit like I could bring it up a notch. So here we are this week. It's going to be fun. This is going to be the greatest ever. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but this is going to be a good one. Even though I haven't really written anything down, nothing to address, let's go by the top of, I was going to say tip of my tongue, and see where we go from here. But I want to keep it nice and fresh. It's practice for me, especially if you can't go out to the bars, and more on that. But it's practice for me to talk to some virtual somebody, right? And that's you. And I do thank you for watching. It's so weird if you're not an actual human being, but you are a human being if you're watching. I mean, you follow. I'm talking to gadgetry right now, but so yeah, and maybe no more calling out the fact that this thing was recorded yesterday if you're watching it the day it's released, and today is always today, and so be it, you know, seeing as that I release these things one day later, right? So enough of all of that stuff. Trying to get rid of all of the stuff, or all the stuff out of the way that requires me to address it when starting up a new show or vlog or podcast. So hopefully we can let go of some of that stuff. But what I wanted to get at first was maybe how we're doing, how everybody's doing. Kind of told you my last week was great, and I'm not sure how much that translated in last week's episode, but hopefully it did some or a lot. I think it did. I couldn't bear to listen to the whole thing. And listening to the whole thing is an activity I do sometimes in the middle of the week. And I figure now, as I'm talking, that that's probably an insecurity from not ever watching it back on YouTube after editing it. And I try to stay off of YouTube. In fact, I've never, up to this point, never seen a video on YouTube. So I don't know if these things are coming out right 100%. But I do all the editing, and I do plenty of watching it there. But never double check that everything is 100% fluid and working well on the actual platform you see it on, right? So, but I'll start doing that now that I have some viewers and stuff. And by the way, that reminds me, I'm getting a little careful about, well, maybe things like calling this the cutest little podcast out there. A little careful about that stuff because I'm not actually brave enough to check my statistics this week, and that's just because I would hate to have some drop off. I've been thinking about it all week. I'd hate to have a drop off of viewers or subscribers at this point. I'd love to be getting more without promoting. Does that even make sense? Is it possible? Is it doable? I probably would be, well, I'm probably one of the few that's doing it at this time, maybe. And I would argue, actually, I don't think it needs any arguing. I would insist that this is also the latest vlog to hit the streets as well. But you know, there are reasons for that. We talked a little bit about my upbringing. In fact, we talked about it a lot. And in my opinion, we talk about it enough. Maybe too much if you guys are asking about it in the comments. Maybe, maybe not. That burp, excuse me because I'm a kind soul. If we were in person, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily have to excuse myself because it would be allowing you to burp whenever you felt necessary, you know what I mean. That burp was because I am doing some drinking, doing some smoking as well. But I plan on, maybe, I'm starting to get a little bit unsure about this stuff because, like I said, more to talk about when it comes to the topic of bars. I did go out last week. There's nothing fun about this. There's going to be no bragging. You don't have to strap yourselves in or nothing. But I did what I said I was going to do, essentially. And I went out and made sure I supported the bar that I said that I wanted to support. And all that really means is I went out, walked a few blocks, and sat by myself for an hour or two or something. Had a couple drinks. I don't think I talked to more than one person who wasn't staff. So there you go. Not trying to come here and talk about any accolades or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This whole show, in fact, all of show business shall be devoid of anything. I don't know. There's a nice saying I heard on a podcast once, and I should probably give credit to where I heard this from, but I think it probably had Andrew Santino in it, comedian, and Bobby, Theo Vaughn, maybe. I don't know. I'm just making up names. But I believe it was maybe some of those younger comedian folk or something came up with this phrase. So give credit to the young where it's due. And by young, I mean as old as me-ish or something. I suppose that's not very young. I feel like I'm late on the scene, as we just talked about. I wanted to mention the outfit and the fact that this is possibly morphing into a fashion show, this thing we're doing here. Because I can't wear the same shirt I wore 15 episodes ago. It's not in me to, do that to your eyes if you're watching. So what am I to do? Pull off some sweaters when it's nice and warm inside here? Pull out a sweater or something? And so be it. I like the colors. They really bring out my eyes. No. That's not the reason. In fact, I'd hate to. My belief when it comes to the eyes is the dark hair, dark eye, cornea, is going to be the proper mixture. Whenever you expect somebody's eyes to be something and they show up lighter than they are, I'm not taking any compliments in the future on my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So that was just a joke. There's some early humor for all of us, even though, I'm trying to inject this thing with minuscule amounts at every, or on occasion throughout. I should make fun of you guys. I know that's on the agenda, but we can leave it till next week. What is making fun of you guys? What is it? Because you're not in front of me, right? So maybe we'll drop it all together. We covered everything that's been atop my mind, and now we're moving into the phase of what do we talk about. Like I said, I couldn't bear myself. I couldn't bear listening to myself from last week's episode, so I don't really have anything to carry out, to pick up from then and talk about. So it's just whatever's on the tip of your, whatever comes from the back of your brainstem or the bottom of your brainstem. And for that, we're going to take a little break. That means a hit of the cigarette and possibly hope you're doing well in terms of managing your schedule. And I hope the weather above you is treating you fairly. And I hope you had a week like mine. Again, last week, meaning an entire week ago for a week. So not 7 days ago, but more like 14. My oh my. So whatever you saw from last week, if you watched last week's episode, you saw me not talking about how great my week was. And if I wanted to put a couple details in there for you real quickly, I'm talking about getting rid of the moth problem in my apartment. That is not quite what it sounds like, but nonetheless, I think there's going to be some hope for getting rid of these moths that have semi-recently invaded the place. And my place is small. Think about a little G.I. Joe living in a... what size would that be? Like a... You have to go smaller than G.I. Joe. And you're going to have to go longer than a shoebox. But I have high ceilings too, so it's sort of like if you're a regular sized person, such as yourself, standing in the back of a 18-wheeler, a semi-truck, the one of them standing in the storage part of that thing. That's how small my place is. I'm not going to do a camera thing. I'm not going to take the camera off of its little holder thing. But yeah, so what is there in the news? I suppose, see, I don't want to, I feel like this thing is getting a little COVID or coronavirus heavy. I shouldn't have probably said that, but putting an emphasis on the times there. So I don't want to talk about, also, somewhere around 10 days ago, meaning last week or the week before this last week, I also figured out a little software problem with the genuine Mercedes software, diagnostic software that I have. I figured out how to make it continue working into the future, and I was so excited about it because I can type in off the top of my little brain, I could type in when the expiration date is. So I made up a start date and an expiration date. I'm like, wow, you can do that? I mean, I made it for a short time, but it used to be 2015 was the expiration date. Bam, turned it into like 2024 or something like that. Just to be safe, I don't want to write 2045 or something like that because I wouldn't know if that would work. So I got, for another 3 years, I got what is the exact copy, I believe. How much research can you actually do on the internet these days to really figure it out? But an exact copy of the most up-to-date dealer-level software that they use for diagnostics, so I can fix my car. That's all. Something I bought a long-ass time ago, right? Anyway, so, and I was like, I'm not going to make this a good day. I'm going to turn this little success into a great week. It's going to be my whole week that this determines. But I told you about the other little details as well. Not to mention working and stuff like that. And making a good amount of money, even though all I'm doing is chasing bills. So, what else is there? And let's get out of here. Let's keep this shorter just because, wow, I think last week's episode went way over on time, if you ask me. I feel like I'm squeezing too much time out of your lives if you dare watch the whole thing. So this one's going to be shorter if I have any say. And you notice I kind of sabotaged last episode a little bit too. At the end there, I don't know what I was doing, but sometimes it's difficult to say goodbye. I have to admit it. Little cuteness in there, right? Okay, moving on. So, I don't know. I mean, most shows, what's the word? Devolve into talking about shows they watched or things they've seen or entertainment news. I'm not sure anything has really come out this week that is worth talking about, except for something that has been teasing me a little bit, is the breakup of billionaire and his wife, Melinda Gates. Does that strike your fancy as well? I think it's semi-entertaining. It was interesting to find out some of the details. And I'm listening to Andrew Schultz's podcast on this stuff. Credit forever where credit is due. And so I'm not actually clicking on no links or anything like that. I feel like that probably solves a few, it solves a little bit of a dilemma in my head if I'm not clicking on, let's say, NBC or something like that, or MSNBC, I mean, or something like that. Whoever the hell is releasing all this info, because it's her job to put forth, if she wants to, publicly the reasons why she is going through with this divorce. And I suppose if he wants to, he could say his side too. I'm hearing that he was, her ex-husband at this point, was involved with Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Should I even say Mr.? But then again, they both visited him, and so there's not really much to talk about there. I love boy-girl subjects, and I love diving into them and getting into the nitty-gritty, as well as making it entertaining for us. But I feel like there's nothing. It's a real dead-end stop. If she comes out and says that, then it's really on her whether you like her or not. Because to me, it sounds like this is not something that he would put out there publicly, even though they were doing it for, what is the term? Philanthropical reasons, even though the meeting was under the pretext of philanthropy. This podcast is only cute if we're not using big words, right? You get taught that by your elders, and so it's my job to pass the buck, if, I'm so aware. I would like to present to you the show that I think I'm most in competition with. I don't mean to laugh 1.52 seconds too long there, but if I so can say, we're not talking about viewership numbers, because she has me beat by many thousands. At this point, I'd like to request that you share some of these episodes, possibly. But if I don't spritz this thing up a little bit, with my little spry side, then who am I competing against, if not the decent comedian, I'm hesitant to say her name, but she's good, I think she's great. She's cute. She's cute. She out-cutes this show, that's for sure. Ali Macofsky. Why are all the podcasts I watch comedians? You know, I should do a little more financial advice podcasting, podcast surfing, and maybe lawyer stuff as well. I think those should be, I should find my home in those two as well. Maybe someday soon. But anyway, if you don't know her, I'd love to be the smallest show that ever mentioned anybody. If I want to start a podcast war with anybody, it would be her. This is because, you know, we have the same tone. We have the same vibe. I need her to bring her. It's a challenge to think about bringing her. Sorry for all the smoke in the screen, if that bothers you. I mean, I really don't. I suppose I don't mind it. I don't care that it's there, but if it bothers you, maybe it'd be best that I put the cigarette out and do what I do when I'm not in front of a camera. Anyway, so I would, this is not a real challenge because she's not going to see it. More than likely. But who's going to be more psyched about doing a podcast, me or her? Podcast schmodcast. We call this a vlog. Is it really competition? See what I mean? I do plan on having this show, let's say, because we're a little over a half a year, I do plan on, let's say by year's end, I'd like to establish a checkpoint where I can promise you guys a bigger, mightier thing. This source of entertainment that I am trying to, you know, put out there, I'd like it to get to the point where, you know, there's some back and forth. Maybe what I mean by that is maybe a guest at my side or something, maybe even a co-host. I don't, you know, maybe not, but, you know. It would be fun. It would be different. It would be fun. And in case I'm looking at myself too much, I feel like this show is a lot of looking inside a mirror, looking at a mirror. But it need not be. I mean, you know, I hate to always break down the fourth wall here, but the rule of in my eyes is, you know, smash, 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 breaking down all the bricks. I'm not going to give a great analogy here, but like Pink Floyd's The Wall at the end of the concert. That was going to be my first episode. When I went and I watched The Wall, Roger Waters was doing the live tour. I was hesitant because I don't know if all tours are live or not. Yeah, I mean, this day and age. But I saw it and I came back and I tried to record a podcast. So whenever he was doing that was the days when I tried to record a podcast or a vlog. It was probably actually, podcast was nary a term back then. So that goes back to when I first wanted to actually put myself, and I've just major failed and couldn't get myself to go past bragging about being at that show. So whenever that was, the Roger Waters, the Wall live tour, that was when I wanted to, you know, start looking into the camera and attempting things. Shall I ever let that footage go public? Maybe that's up to, you know, we'll see what the future holds, I guess. Okay, well, we're at a good amount of time. We can consider wrapping up, I suppose. It would be fine with me. Trying my best here in terms of what is fun to talk about, and haven't been doing so much focus on keeping my ugly little chin towards the ground this week. But one day, to mention his show again, well, maybe I shouldn't say his name again, just out of respect to all the other people I always mention, or mention as well. But the same show that I mentioned earlier, he likes to sit back, and I know he's got a co-host and there's other people involved and stuff like that, but he likes to put his foot up on his knee and sit back and relax. I like to do that too. My microphone's right here. So if in the future this thing becomes a casual, what's this guy doing? Sitting in his room, leaning back, talking, then, maybe if I ever acquire, more of an audience and it becomes, I suppose confidence grows upon me, then maybe that's what you'll see in the later days. But enough talk about me. I love the topics where we're both talking about things. If, where it sounds like we're both talking about things, or whatever. A lot happened this week in terms of things I'd like to bring to you, but I got a little heavy in terms of talking about my daily life last week, so I'd hate to bring it up again, but things that happen while I'm on the job, stuff like that. But I can say, let's try not to elaborate on this too much, but I can say, much like a newspaper describes in an article like what happened in terms of an interaction between some guy and some other stuff. Maybe let's say a guy passed away or a female passed away or whatever. Much like the description in the newspaper, these are the priorities of your interests. So if you want me to give you an example, what the hell I'm talking about, because again, much like last week's episode, I gave you no context in terms of why I would, it's like improper or sloppy segues and stuff like that. I was talking to a female in my car today, and I don't know how much this needs to be talked about, but we'll do this right before we get out. And I was also thinking of mentioning this again, but it would be nice to have an explosion at the end of this podcast, because I'd like to pretend like, boop, I was hitting the off button, much like what this is, which is just sit down, hit record, and then, hit the stop button, and then have an explosion, just so it's like, I'm out. Oh, that reminds me. I'd be stealing a segment from a show I used to listen to, a radio show. So maybe not, but sitting down in the car this week. Oh, we should do joke of the week, right? I mean, what do I have? I mean, do I have anything for you? Let's change topics. Okay, so joke of the week. I'll try and come up with something, and then we'll get out of here. This week's joke of the week. I have nothing. I don't have anything. I didn't even think about it. All right. Well, in the vein of keeping this short and not bothering you or wasting your time, let's do a quick out. Okay. I don't have a joke. Why would I say that? Why would I even bring that up? Just to get off the topic of talking about my daily life. Enough about me. This thing is supposed to be 50-50. Yeah, so if you want a joke, I mean, I read one off of a popsicle stick once, and and I need more booze, even though I'm messing up my words. What do you call a wild cat likes to play board games. It was way better, you know, presented than this. A cheetah. I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Here we go again. Savaging, salvaging. I'm trying to salvage. Sabotaging the last bit of this episode 2 weeks in a row. Okay, guys. Well, listen, some of this is because I've been working all day. So, I mean, don't forgive me. But I don't plan on changing my schedule because, like I said earlier, I'm chasing bills. But... and you could see it on my face. For some reason, even if it's cloudy up above, the sun seems to shine through. The rays seem to get through and bounce off of the interior of my vehicle and continue, you know, making me older by the day. So, I don't know. Let's just go. I miss you guys all the time, and it's going to be a wonder when I look at my views from last week, because, you know, shall it surprise me if they've gone up or changed or went down, especially? Perhaps not. That's why I say this is a fashion show. Let's keep it interesting, okay? If you want to know how much I'm sweating, I'm certainly sweating a, you know, a good amount. Alrighty, guys. I would love to put more meat in this protein in this one, but it's more important that we wrap it up sooner this week rather than later. So I'll regret it. It'll be on me the whole next, let's say, 6 or 5 or 4 days. But until next week, okay? Alrighty, guys. From my young ass to yours, and I can say that because it's my last name. Whether you're older or younger than me, that's the beauty of the internet. Oh, and here we are, wrapping it up. So I was talking to that lady. All I wanted to say was that she was coming after me in terms of started the conversation first and then wanted to get into talking about heavy topics like politics and social issues and stuff like that. And I felt like I had to explain that young and old is the first line of defense. And when you get past that, you start complaining about other things. It's great not to know anybody's age. Again, the beauty of the internet. Let's talk about things young or old, and then get somewhere, right? Okay, so if you want more substance here, right before I go, 10 seconds or less. Maybe more than that, but 1 sentence or less. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah. It's fun forgetting what you're going to say. For once! All right, guys, please forgive me. Love you. Thanks for checking it out. I'll be back next week. Gonna miss you, so don't worry about it. And hope you have a good week. And all the same old, you know, manage your schedule. You know, I'll manage mine, and we'll do this together. And I'll keep you posted. Okay. Sincerely, I like to say cheers. Cheers.